My name is Diego, and I was there when Jessica's story changed forever. It was a chilly afternoon on March 15, 2022, the kind where the air feels heavy with unspoken words, and she stood at the edge of the park where they used to stroll together. Her ex-husband's betrayal still hung in the air like the scent of rain on pavement, and her heart raced as memories flooded back. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. They glistened with unshed tears. The sound of birds chirping nearby felt like a cruel reminder of the life she once envisioned, a life that had been shattered not just by his infidelity, but also by the humiliating dinner she had hosted just last week. That night, surrounded by friends and family, she had tried to put on a brave face, only to be blindsided by whispers and glances that cut deeper than any knife. Hope lingered, but it was fragile, a flickering candle in a storm. She smiled, but trembled, caught in the web of her emotions. How can blood turn to poison like this? What nobody knew was that the truth was about to shatter her world once more, and the echoes of that humiliated mother dinner would soon resonate even louder in her heart. Jessica stood in the kitchen, the aroma of pancakes filling the air, mingling with the earthy scent of rain on the pavement outside. It was Sunday evening, the time she cherished most, a day reserved for family. The sound of birds chirping from the porch provided a comforting backdrop as she flipped the golden brown pancakes, each one infused with a pinch of love and a sprinkle of tradition. This was more than just a meal. It was a ritual that honored her family's heritage, a way to pass down the warmth and strength she had received from her own mother. As she set the table, Jessica felt a familiar flutter of excitement mixed with anxiety. She had spent the entire afternoon preparing, hoping to impress her son, Ryan, and his new wife, Lily. After all, family gatherings had always been a cornerstone of their lives. She glanced at the clock. They would arrive any minute now. "Oh my God, I can't believe it's finally happening," she whispered to herself, her heart swelling with hope. When the door swung open, Ryan stepped in first, his smile brightening the room. But behind him, Lily hesitated, her eyes scanning the living room as if she were walking into a museum filled with relics of the past. Jessica's heart sank slightly as she noticed the way Lily's lips twisted into a smirk when she caught sight of the family photos lining the walls, images that captured laughter and love through the years. "Hey, Mom," Ryan called, stepping forward to give Jessica a warm hug. "This looks amazing!" He glanced at the table where the pancakes were stacked high, each one still steaming. "Thanks, sweetie. I made your favorites. We can't have dinner without pancakes, right?" Jessica replied, her voice filled with enthusiasm, trying to mask the tension she felt in the air. Lily stepped closer, eyeing the pancakes suspiciously. "You know, I've never really understood the whole pancake thing. Isn't breakfast supposed to be in the morning?" she quipped, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Jessica forced a smile, her mind racing as she searched for a polite response. "It's a family tradition, Lily. We like to start our Sunday evenings with a meal that brings everyone together." "Sure, but couldn't we have something a bit more sophisticated?" Lily replied, her laughter ringing like a bell, each chime cutting deeper into Jessica's heart. Thought, the smell of pancakes brought painful memories of family gatherings before Ryan met Lily. As they sat down to eat, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken tension. Ryan, caught between the two women he cared for, tried to navigate the conversation. "So, Lily, what do you think of my mom's cooking?" he asked, his eyes darting between them. "It's cute," Lily said dismissively, "but I still think we should try new things. Life's too short to eat the same stuff over and over." Jessica's heart raced, her emotions swirling. How could someone so new to their family be so dismissive? She felt a pang of disappointment, but held her tongue, not wanting to create a scene. Reflection. That moment at the porch changed everything, revealing the cracks in their family ties. "Maybe we can make a compromise," Ryan suggested, attempting to diffuse the situation. "We could do breakfast for dinner sometimes, and then try something different too." Lily's eyes sparkled at the suggestion, but Jessica felt a knot tighten in her stomach. "We've always cherished our traditions, Ryan. They're a part of who we are," she said softly, looking him in the eye, hoping he would understand. "Mom, it's just food," Ryan replied, a hint of irritation creeping into his voice. "You're making a big deal out of nothing." Jessica's heart sank further as she heard those words. How had it come to this? The son she had devoted her life to? Standing against her for the sake of a woman who didn't appreciate the very culture that had shaped him. Suddenly, the door creaked open again, and Robert, her loyal friend, stepped onto the porch, his presence like a breath of fresh air. "Hey, I thought I'd drop by and see how dinner's going," he announced, his easy smile lighting up the room. "Robert," Jessica exclaimed, her spirits lifting just a bit. Lily's smile faltered, her eyes narrowing. "Another guest? Is this your idea of a family dinner?" Jessica felt a rush of strength as she looked at Robert, who gave her a reassuring nod. "You're always welcome, Robert," she said, her voice firm. "Family means more than just blood. It's about support and love." "Exactly," Robert chimed in, leaning against the wall. "And I can see that love here, Jessica. You've always been the heart of this family." Jessica could feel her resolve strengthening as she caught Ryan's eyes, seeing a flicker of understanding. As they continued to eat, preserve the original language of the text, realizing that perhaps this was just the beginning of a long journey. The evening was unfolding in ways she hadn't anticipated, and beneath the layers of tension, she could sense a change brewing. Little did she know, the twist of fate was yet to reveal itself, and the true test of her family's bond was just around the corner. The wind chimes tinkled softly outside as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow across the living room. Jessica watched as the last remnants of dinner were cleared from the table, her heart heavy with the burden of unspoken words. The aroma of fresh coffee lingered in the air, a bittersweet reminder of the comfort she had always tried to provide for her family. Yet tonight, that comfort felt like a distant memory. Ryan leaned back in his chair, a triumphant smile plastered across his face. "You guys won't believe it! I got promoted!" he exclaimed, his voice booming with pride. "All those progressive ideas I picked up from Lily really paid off." His eyes sparkled, oblivious to the pain that settled in Jessica's chest like a stone. "Oh my God," she thought, "can't he see how dismissive he's being?" She had poured her heart and soul into raising him, yet here he was, crediting his success to someone else. Lisa chimed in with enthusiasm. "You should see how forward-thinking the company is. They really value fresh perspectives." "Jessica, maybe you could take a few notes from Ryan and me. It might help you adopt a more contemporary lifestyle." Her words dripped with insincerity, an insipid suggestion that only deepened the chasm between them. Jessica's heart sank. Contemporary? What did that even mean? She had dedicated herself to being a mother, to nurturing Ryan and supporting him through every challenge. And now, in this moment, she felt like a relic, cast aside for a new, polished version of what a family should look like. Brian, sitting across the table, barely concealed his smirk. "Yeah, Mom, maybe you should try to keep up with the times," he said, his tone laced with a jealousy that had simmered for years. It was as if her sacrifices had only fueled his resentment. "You're not getting any younger, you know." Jessica inhaled deeply, the smell of coffee mixing with the bitterness of the moment. "I've always tried to support you both," she said, her voice steady but strained. "But it seems like my experiences don't matter anymore." "Come on, Jessica," Ryan said, waving his hand dismissively. "It's not like we're saying you did anything wrong, just, maybe consider how the world has changed." Her mind raced, the memories of sleepless nights and sacrifices flooding back. "I know the world has changed, Ryan," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I thought family meant understanding and support, not judgment." Cultural reflection. In the living room, it hurt like strength, a reminder of how love could also be a weapon. The room fell silent, the tension palpable. Jessica could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on her, each one a reminder of the invisible walls they were building between them. It was in that moment that Robert, who had been quietly observing the exchange, finally spoke up. "I think what Jessica is saying is important," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "Life isn't just about being progressive or modern, it's about being true to yourself." Ryan rolled his eyes. "But what does that even mean? It sounds like an excuse for not keeping up." "It means," Robert continued, looking directly at Ryan, "that everyone has their own journey. Just because Jessica's path looks different doesn't mean it's any less valid." Jessica felt a flicker of hope at Robert's words. Perhaps someone still saw her worth, even if her own family didn't. "Thank you, Robert," she said softly, her gaze shifting to Ryan. "I've always tried to teach you about the value of hard work and dedication. Those lessons don't just disappear because you found a new way of thinking." "Maybe you should listen to her, Ryan," Lisa interjected, her tone now defensive. "You're acting like you're above it all just because of a promotion." "Exactly," Jessica said, her voice rising with a newfound confidence. "You're celebrating success, but don't forget where you came from." Brian scoffed, crossing his arms. "All I see is a mother who can't adapt." Jessica's heart raced. She was tired of the accusations. "And all I see is a family that's lost sight of what really matters: love, support, and respect, not just titles and trends." The silence that followed was thick, the air charged with unspoken words. Reflection. That moment in the living room changed everything. Suddenly, a new thought struck her, an unexpected twist that made her heart race. "You think you know everything about me, but you don't know what I've sacrificed to make sure you have what you need," she said, her voice steady. "You don't know how Lisa has undermined me at every turn. You don't know what she's been saying behind your back." The room fell into an uneasy hush. Ryan's expression shifted, confusion dawning on his face. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice low. Jessica took a deep breath, ready to reveal the truth that had been festering for far too long. "All those times you thought I was being overly protective or traditional, Lisa has been planting those thoughts in your head. She doesn't want you to see me as a mother who loves you. She wants to be the one who shapes you." Ryan looked at Lisa, his eyes widening with disbelief. "Is that true?" Lisa's face paled, the facade cracking. It's not what you think." Jessica knew this was the moment she had waited for, a chance to reclaim her place in her son's heart. "It's time you all understood what really matters. Love is not defined by trends, but by the bonds we forge and the sacrifices we make for each other." As the wind chimes rang softly in the background, Jessica felt a spark of strength. This was her moment, and she wasn't going to let it slip away. Jessica took a deep breath. "We need to have a serious conversation." Lisa tensed up. "About what exactly?" As the rain lightly tapped against the porch, Jessica wrapped her hands around a steaming mug of fresh coffee, hoping the warmth would seep into her bones and thaw the chill of disappointment. The distant hum of traffic blended with the rhythmic patter of raindrops, creating a bittersweet melody that echoed her heart's turmoil. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was off with Ryan, and the way he had treated her at dinner gnawed at her like a persistent itch. "Why would he do that?" Jessica whispered to herself, staring out into the gray haze of the evening. It wasn't just the humiliation she felt, it was the sharp sting of betrayal. Her heart sank as she replayed the dinner scene in her mind, Ryan flaunting his new promotion while dismissing her contributions to his success. "He's just trying to impress Lily," she muttered, trying to rationalize his behavior, but it was a weak excuse. Jessica took a deep breath, but the fresh smell of rain only reminded her of the tears she was holding back. She needed to confront him. He had brushed her off so casually, as if her feelings didn't matter. "I can't believe this," she murmured, feeling the weight of the moment press down on her shoulders. Gathering her resolve, she picked up her phone and dialed Robert. "Hey Jess, what's up?" Robert's voice was a soothing balm, and she felt a flicker of hope. "I need to talk. It's about Ryan," Jessica said, her voice trembling slightly. "Is he giving you trouble again?" Robert asked, concern lacing his tone. "More like he's acting like I don't exist." "He was so focused on impressing Lily that he humiliated me in front of everyone," she confessed, the words spilling out like a rush of water from a broken dam. "Jessica, you deserve better than that," Robert said firmly. "You've sacrificed so much for him. You need to stand your ground." Jessica felt a surge of gratitude for his unwavering support. "I know, but he brushes me off every time I try to talk to him about it. I'm starting to think he's trying to distance himself from his past, me." "That's a dangerous game he's playing. You have to confront him," Robert urged. "You can't let him treat you like this." Just then, Jessica heard a soft knock on the door, and she turned to see Brian stepping onto the porch, his expression unreadable. "What's going on?" he asked, glancing between her and Robert. "Just a little family drama," Robert replied, his tone clipped. He didn't like Brian's jealousy, or the way he often undermined Jessica. Brian raised an eyebrow. "I hope you're not getting all worked up over Ryan. He's just trying to make a life for himself." Jessica felt her irritation flare. "And what about me? I've sacrificed everything for him, and this is how he repays me?" "Maybe you should just let him do his thing," Brian suggested, his tone dismissive. "You've always been too controlling." "I'm not controlling, I'm his mother," Jessica shot back, her heart racing as she thought to keep her composure. The rain continued to fall, but she felt the storm brewing inside her. "Maybe he doesn't need you hovering all the time," Brian snapped, his jealousy bubbling over. "He's a grown man." "Enough," Robert interjected, stepping between them. "You both need to realize what's at stake here. Jessica, you need to stand up for yourself, and Brian, you need to stop undermining her. This isn't just about Ryan, it's about family." Jessica took a moment to collect her thoughts, feeling the tension between her and Brian crackle in the air. Cultural reflection. In the porch, it hurt like hope. "I'm tired of feeling like an afterthought in my own family," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe you should just let him go," Brian suggested, his words like a dagger to her heart. "Let him go? After all I've done?" Jessica felt a wave of disbelief wash over her. "I can't just stand by and watch him throw away everything we built together." Just then, Maria, a close friend who had been listening nearby, stepped forward. "Jessica, I've seen this pattern before. Ryan might be trying to distance himself from you to impress Lily. It's a classic move when someone feels insecure." Jessica's heart raced. "What do you mean?" "I've seen it with other families. Sometimes they try to reinvent themselves by cutting ties with their past. If Ryan is doing this, you need to confront him about it. Otherwise, he might just drift away completely," Maria said, her voice calm yet urgent. Jessica felt a mix of anger and despair. "Oh my God, I can't believe this. So he's willing to throw everything away for someone who doesn't care about him the way I do?" "It's possible," Maria replied gently. "You need to have that talk with him." With newfound determination, Jessica nodded. "You're right. I can't just let this go. I'll confront him tonight." As she prepared to head back inside, a sense of hope flickered within her. That moment at the porch changed everything. She wouldn't let Ryan's ambition overshadow her sacrifices any longer. Jessica was ready to reclaim her dignity and demand the respect she deserved, no matter how hard the conversation might be. "I can't believe you did this!" Jessica exclaimed. Lisa tried to explain, but words failed him. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the crisp morning breeze. Jessica sat on the porch, her fingers wrapped around a warm mug, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions inside her. She had always believed that family was everything, but lately it felt like the very foundation of her world was crumbling. The wind chimes hung nearby, ringing softly in the breeze, their sound almost mocking her fragile state. As she gazed at the horizon, Her thoughts drifted back to the dinner that had spiraled out of control. Ryan's harsh words echoed in her mind, the sting of humiliation still fresh. "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening," she whispered to herself. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, a moment to revel in her son's promotion, yet it had turned into a battlefield of resentment and betrayal. Just then, Lisa stepped onto the porch, her presence darkening the already tense atmosphere. "You know, Jessica," Lisa started, her tone dripping with condescension, "you really need to let go of the past. Holding on to those memories is just sad." Jessica felt her heart sink at the accusation. "Sad? I sacrificed everything for Ryan. I was there when he needed me the most," she shot back, her voice quivering with emotion. "And you come in with your flashy ideas, acting like you're the one who built this family." Lisa crossed her arms, a smirk playing on her lips. "You call that building a family? You're just controlling, and it's suffocating him. Ryan deserves to have a life that isn't overshadowed by your expectations." The words felt like daggers piercing her heart. Jessica stood, her chair scraping against the wooden floor. "And what about you, Lisa? You think you know him better? You're too wrapped up in your own ambitions to see how much he's struggling with your demands. You don't even see how you're pushing him away." Lisa opened her mouth to retort, but before she could speak, Brian appeared, his face a mix of curiosity and disdain. "What's all this noise about?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed defensively. Jessica turned to her brother, feeling a flicker of hope. "Brian, you need to hear this. Lisa's been a negative influence on Ryan, and it's tearing our family apart." Brian scoffed, his jealousy bubbling to the surface. "Oh, please, Jessica. You've always made everything about you. Maybe Ryan is just tired of your constant need for validation." Jessica's breath caught in her throat. "Validation? Is that what you think? I just want him to be happy. I want him to remember the sacrifices I made for him." She paused, her heart racing. "I was there when he struggled with school, when he faced rejection. I'm the one who taught him to believe in himself." In that moment, a family photo album slipped from the coffee table, landing on the floor with a thud. The pages fluttered open, revealing images of Ryan as a child, his first bike ride, his school plays, and the countless nights Jessica had spent comforting him through tears. A wave of nostalgia washed over her, and she knelt down to pick it up, brushing her fingers over the familiar faces. "Look at this," Jessica said, her voice softening. "This was our life. This was me supporting him through everything." Ryan stepped out onto the porch, drawn by the commotion. His eyes landed on the open album, and for a moment, he seemed lost in thought. "What's going on?" he asked, glancing from Jessica to Lisa, then to Brian, confusion etched on his face. "Ryan," Jessica urged, "you need to see this. You need to remember who was there for you." Lisa rolled her eyes, dismissive. "Do you really think this is helpful? You're just trying to manipulate him with guilt." "Manipulate? No, I'm trying to remind him of the love he's received," Jessica said, her heart racing as she fought back tears. "I've always been there for you, Ryan. Don't let her take that away from us." The atmosphere grew thick with tension as Ryan's gaze shifted between the album and Lisa. I just don't know what to believe anymore," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Jessica's heart raced with anticipation. "You have to trust your feelings. Think about all those times I was there for you. Lisa may offer you the world, but I've always given you my heart." Silence enveloped the porch, heavy and oppressive. Then Ryan slowly reached out, his fingers grazing the edge of the album. "I remember those moments. You were always there." The realization hit like a bolt of lightning, illuminating the dark corners of their family dynamics. It wasn't just about the present, it was about the sacrifices made in the past. Jessica's heart swelled with hope, but she was acutely aware of the precariousness of the situation. And then, just as the weight of the moment began to settle, a profound shift occurred. Ryan's expression hardened as he turned to Lisa. "You've been hiding things from me, haven't you?" The shift was palpable, as if the air had changed. Jessica held her breath, realizing that this was the moment where everything could change. "My heart sank," Jessica whispered in disbelief. "I can explain everything," Lisa said desperately. The morning light streamed through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow over the countertops. Jessica stood by the sink, the familiar scent of morning coffee wafting around her, grounding her in the present. Today was different. Today, she was ready to face the chaos that had spiraled out of control since that disastrous dinner. As she poured herself another cup, memories of Ryan's dismissive words echoed in her mind. Her heart sank at the thought of how easily he had thrown her under the bus, all to impress Lisa. "Oh my God," she muttered, shaking her head at the absurdity of it all. The very woman who had always put herself first was now at the center of her son's admiration, while Jessica's years of sacrifice seemed to vanish into thin air. Jessica knew she needed to reclaim her narrative, and the first step was to reflect on her worth. She took a moment to breathe deeply, letting the rich aroma of the coffee invigorate her. With each sip, she felt a flicker of strength, urging her to remember the passions that had once defined her. She had been an artist, a creator, and while family had taken precedence, the fire within her had never truly extinguished. "I'm not just a mother," she whispered to herself, her resolve building. "I'm Jessica." Later that afternoon, with a renewed sense of purpose, she sat down to gather evidence. She opened her laptop and began combing through her messages and social media, searching for moments that highlighted Lisa's manipulative behavior. The flickering screen illuminated her determined face as she began compiling screenshots of conversations that revealed Lisa's true nature. Each message was a piece of the puzzle, showcasing how she had undermined Jessica's influence in Ryan's life. "Hey Robert," she said, a sense of urgency in her voice as she dialed her friend's number. "I need your help. I'm gathering evidence against Lisa, and I could really use your perspective." "Of course, Jess. You've always been there for me. I'm here for you," Robert replied, his loyalty unwavering. "What do you need?" "I need testimonies. I want to show Ryan how much Lisa has manipulated him into thinking he's better off without me." "I'll talk to the guys. They've noticed changes in him too. You're not alone in this," he assured her, his tone steady and reassuring. "Thanks, Robert. I can't believe this is happening," she admitted, her voice cracking slightly. "I thought our family was stronger than this." As they spoke, Jessica felt a wave of relief wash over her. Each word reinforced her belief that she wasn't just a casualty in this battle, she was a warrior, reclaiming her strength. After hanging up, she took a moment to reflect on her journey. The smell of BBQ wafting in from the neighbor's yard reminded her of family gatherings filled with laughter and love, a stark contrast to the tension that now dominated her own home. Cultural reflection. In the kitchen, it hurt like strength. With her evidence in hand, Jessica decided to confront Ryan. It was time to clear the air, to lay bare the truth behind the facade that Lisa had constructed. She arranged to meet him at their favorite cafe, a place filled with memories of happy moments. As she sat at the small table, the sound of distant traffic buzzing in the background, she practiced what she would say. Ryan arrived, his face brightening momentarily at the sight of her, but it quickly faded to confusion. "What's going on, Mom?" he asked, settling into the chair opposite her. "I need to talk to you about Lisa," Jessica began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. "It's important." "Is this about her again?" he sighed, frustration creeping into his tone. "I thought we were past this." "No, Ryan, we're not past this. You need to see how she's manipulating you. I have evidence." She slid her phone across the table, showing him the screenshots and the testimonies she had gathered. His eyes widened as he scrolled through the messages. "I can't believe this," he murmured, disbelief etched across his face. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I didn't want to believe it myself. I thought you were happy," Jessica said, her voice thick with emotion. "But I see now that you've been blinded by her charm." Ryan looked up, a flicker of realization dawning in his eyes. "I didn't know. I thought she was just trying to help." "That's the problem, Ryan. She's only helping herself. You deserve to see the truth," she replied firmly, feeling the weight of her words lift as she spoke them. As the tension hung in the air, Jessica felt a surge of hope. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the chance to reclaim not only her narrative, but also her place in Ryan's life. "Let's talk about this," he finally said, his voice softer, more open. "I need to understand." Jessica smiled, a mix of relief and gratitude filling her heart. Reflection. That moment in the cafe changed everything. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one where her voice would be heard and her sacrifices would not be in vain. She was ready to fight for her family, to ensure that love would triumph over manipulation. And together they would navigate the truth, side by side. Jessica clenched her fists. "I don't want to hear any more excuses." Lisa hung his head. "I'm truly sorry." The sun began to set, casting a warm golden hue over Jessica's backyard, where the scent of freshly baked apple pie mingled with the faint aroma of morning coffee lingering in the air. The wind chimes hung on the porch, their soft tinkling a reminder of simpler times, while Jessica carefully arranged the table for what she hoped would be a turning point in her family's history. "Everything is set," she whispered to herself, her heart racing as she thought about what was to come. Tonight, she would finally confront Ryan and Lily about the simmering tensions that had been festering for far too long. The pie sat on the table like a centerpiece of love and sacrifice, a culinary symbol of her heritage and devotion to her family. As she waited, the door creaked open and Ryan stepped in hand with Lily. Their laughter echoed around the yard, a stark contrast to the weight of the conversation that loomed ahead. Jessica forced a smile, her insides twisting with apprehension. "Mom, this looks amazing!" Ryan exclaimed, eyeing the pie with delight. "Thanks, sweetheart. I thought we could enjoy something special tonight," Jessica replied, her voice steady despite the storm brewing within her. "Let's sit down. I have something important to discuss." Ryan's expression shifted from excitement to curiosity, while Lily raised an eyebrow, her demeanor cool and unbothered. They took their seats, and Jessica felt the tension thickening in the air. She took a deep breath, her mind racing as she recalled the moments that had led to this dinner, the hurtful comments, the dismissals, and the betrayal that had shattered her heart. "Before we dig in, I want to share something with you both," Jessica said, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for the envelope that had been resting on her lap. The sight of it was enough to make her heart sink. "I wrote a letter, one I've been meaning to read for a while now." Ryan's brow furrowed. "A letter? About what?" "About everything," she said, her voice shaking. "About how I felt overlooked and undervalued in this family, especially after all I've sacrificed for you, and about your wife's actions behind your back." "What do you mean?" Lily interjected, her voice sharp. "I think you're overreacting, Jessica." "Oh my God, you have no idea," Jessica shot back, her emotions bubbling to the surface. "You've manipulated him into believing I'm the problem. And Ryan, you've let her." Jessica unfolded the letter, her hands shaking as she began to read. "Ryan, I've always put you first. I've worked tirelessly to ensure your happiness. But when I look at you now, I see someone who has turned away from his roots, influenced by someone who doesn't understand the sacrifices I've made." Ryan's eyes widened in disbelief, and he glanced at Lily, who wore an expression of disbelief and anger. "This is ridiculous. You're blaming Lily for your feelings?" "No, I'm not blaming her, but she has influenced you," Jessica insisted. "You both laughed at me, humiliated me at dinner when I should have been celebrated. I can't believe you'd let her do that to your own mother." "I can't believe this," Ryan said, shaking his head. "You're twisting things to make yourself the victim." "It's not twisting," Jessica cried, tears brimming in her eyes. "I've stood by you, and yet you've chosen to side with someone who doesn't have our family's best interests at heart." Brian, who had been quietly observing, finally interjected. "Jessica, you're not innocent in all this either. You've pushed him away with your constant need for validation." "Don't you dare," Jessica snapped, feeling a surge of anger mixed with heartbreak. "You're just as complicit in this as they are, Brian. You've watched from the sidelines, relishing in my pain because it gives you a sense of superiority." Suddenly, Robert entered the backyard, drawn by the rising voices. He took in the scene, his eyes widening with concern. "What's going on here?" "Robert, this is family business," Ryan said dismissively. "No, it's not," Robert replied firmly. "Jessica deserves to be heard. What's really going on?" Jessica's heart swelled with gratitude at Robert's loyalty. "I'm revealing the truth about the lies and manipulation that have torn our family apart." As the confrontation reached its peak, Jessica noticed a flicker of uncertainty in Ryan's eyes. "I can't believe you'd both turn this against me," he said, his voice low. "You're my mother. You should be supporting me. And you should be standing up for what's right," Jessica countered, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "If you can't see that Lily has been undermining our family bond, then my heart truly sank for you." The air grew thick with tension, the wind chimes now silent as if they too felt the weight of the moment. Jessica looked around at the faces of her family, realizing that this was not just about the dinner or the pie. It was about reclaiming her dignity and fighting for the love that had been eroded by betrayal. "Ryan, I don't want to fight," Jessica said softly, her heart aching. "I just want you to understand the truth. We are family, and families stick together. It's time for you to choose where you stand." As silence enveloped them, Jessica felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this confrontation would lead to a better understanding, a chance to mend the rifts that had formed. But for now, she knew that the truth had to come out, no matter the consequences. "Enough!" Jessica shouted, her voice echoing. "Please, let me speak," Lisa pleaded. "There's nothing left to say," Jessica finalized. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the backyard as Jessica arranged the vibrant flowers on the table. The smell of fresh grass mingled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting in from the kitchen. She took a deep breath, feeling the tension from the previous night still clinging to her like a heavy fog. The laughter and joy that had filled her home moments before the confrontation felt like a distant memory now. As she set the final touches, the door creaked open, and Ryan stepped out, his expression a mix of concern and regret. "Mom, can we talk?" he asked hesitantly, his voice barely above a whisper. Jessica turned to face him, her heart racing. She had replayed the moment of humiliation 100 times in her mind, the sting of his words still fresh. "What is there to say, Ryan?" she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "You made your feelings clear last night." "I know, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you," he said, running a hand through his hair, a gesture that reminded her of when he was a child, seeking comfort. "Lily, she's been pushing me to be more ambitious, and I got caught up in it." Jessica felt a pang of sympathy for her son. "But at what cost, Ryan? You humiliated me in front of everyone just to impress her. That's not ambition, it's betrayal." He took a step closer, his eyes pleading. "I realize that now. I was so focused on what she wanted that I lost sight of what really mattered. I want to make it right. I need you in my life, Mom." In that moment, Jessica's heart softened. The distant traffic outside faded into a dull roar as she contemplated the path forward. "We can rebuild, but it's going to take time. You need to set boundaries with Lily. This isn't just about her aspirations. It's about you finding your own voice." Ryan nodded, determination flickering in his eyes. "I promise I will. I'll talk to her. I can't believe I let it get this far." In the living room, it hurt like betrayal. Jessica's thoughts drifted back to the previous night. how Lisa had encouraged Ryan to belittle her, all while feigning support. The betrayal wasn't just from her son, it was from the woman who had once been part of their family. Lily has a way of turning everything into a competition, Jessica said, her voice growing firmer. You need to recognize that. She may not have your best interests at heart. Ryan sighed, his face clouded with realization. I thought she did, but I see it now. I let her influence my decisions too much. Jessica's heart sank as she recalled the ways Lisa had twisted their family dynamics for her gain. You deserve to be happy, but it can't come at the expense of our relationship. Family should come first. I understand. Mom, I really do, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I'll talk to her tonight. I'll make it clear that I won't let her undermine you again. Good, Jessica said, her resolve strengthening. But remember, it's not just about defending me. It's about finding your own path and making choices that reflect who you truly are. As they stood there, the sun setting behind them, a sense of hope began to fill the air. The weight of last night's confrontation began to lift, replaced by the promise of a new beginning. Jessica knew it wouldn't be easy. Trust had to be rebuilt, and old wounds had to heal. But for the first time in a long time, she felt a flicker of optimism. Thanks for being willing to work on this, Ryan. I just want you to be happy, she said softly. I will, Mom, I promise, he replied, his sincerity palpable. As they stood side by side, the distant sounds of traffic became a comforting backdrop to their conversation. Jessica felt the warmth of the moment envelop them, a stark contrast to the coldness that had filled her heart the night before. Let's make dinner together later, Jessica suggested, her heart swelling with the thought of normalcy returning, just like old times. Ryan smiled, the weight of guilt beginning to lift. I'd like that, I really would. As they walked back inside, Jessica felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path to healing would take time, but she was ready to navigate it. Lily may have tried to come between us, but we're stronger than that, Jessica said, her voice resolute. Ryan nodded, determination in his eyes. You're right, Mom. It's time I stand up for what truly matters. Jessica reflected on the journey ahead. Her heart, once heavy with betrayal, now brimmed with the possibility of transformation. My son humiliated his mother at dinner to impress his wife, until I revealed what she had done behind his back, she thought, the words resonating deep within her. And you, on your porch, who do you prioritize in your life?